up?
Beautiful people! Welcome back. Another episode, Raised Rowdy Racing, post Texas.
I
we
got
have a special guest in the
we
in
do
the queue up today.
second ever in person, second ever actual guest we have right now.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. We're going to be talking with Stephen Paul today, songwriter extraordinaire, traveling the country, doing crazy shit. And just got done being at Texas all weekend, doing some performances out there. So, welcome to it, Stephen. How we doing?
Excited to be here. I feel like I've cheated the system a little bit. I mean, I'm brand new to NASCAR, and I'm already on this world famous podcast. So I'm excited to be here, man.
World famous to the seven people across the world.
Yeah, this podcast
Hey,
is
man.
famous.
Hey, I listen to it religiously. I do. I text y'all every week and like, hey, man, good one this week. I've been running a lot, so
Yeah,
it's every week.
You're giving Randy Adams a run for his money on #1 fan of the pod now.
Good.
And a run for his money because Randy Adams runs.
Yeah, so he truly runs for his money.
All right, let's give a little backstory here. Obviously, Stephen, we know you very well. I have known you for going on 9 years now. I still have your name on my phone as Stephen Newman, which
That's
is
hilarious.
Which is not what most people know you as nowadays. So give everyone just a quick little rundown about you, and then give us a quick little rundown of your new NASCAR fandom you have going on since the Netflix series.
Yeah, so spoiler alert, my last name is Newman. Paul's my middle name. I switched over to that around 2017, I believe. It just Stephen Paul's a little easier to say than Stephen Newman. There's nothing fancy about it, whatever. But yeah, I was born and raised in West Monroe, Louisiana. For those of you who don't know where West Monroe, Louisiana, if you've ever heard of the TV show Duck Dynasty, that's where I was born and raised.
Hell yeah!
So that's where you know exactly where I'm from. Like I said, I met you guys early on, Dawson really early on. I've been living in Nashville it'll be 10 years in October. So within about the first year, we became buddies and been writing songs and all that ever since. And yeah, I've become a new NASCAR fan. Obviously, I knew that y'all love NASCAR, and I've given it a shot through the years. It's kind of one of those things I never just got into. I don't know if it was just the timing, or I was just busy, or just just didn't want to give it a chance yet for whatever reason. But maybe this is sad to real NASCAR fans, but maybe it's a good thing as well. The Netflix series actually got me really invested. I love sports in general. And watching that show really explained to the dummy in me who knows nothing about NASCAR how NASCAR works on the base level, and just kind of gave me that foundation. And once I kind of knew sort of how the sport works, it's just like, all right, well, let's dive into this thing. And man, I've been obsessed ever since. And lucky for me, this year has been an incredible year so far. I know you guys have been excited the way this year has turned out, especially some of the races you didn't think were going to be good have ended up being really good. So
yeah, you ain't kidding.
I know y'all are excited for a lot more people to come enjoy the sport too. So I've had a lot of fun exchanging messages and all that with y'all throughout the weeks.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the group chat. Us three have a group chat that we light up every kind of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But as the Friday, Saturday, Sunday goes by, the texts get more in depth, and there's more abundance of text as the 3 days go by.
Heck yeah, it has been. It's been a lot of fun having it. Just every single morning, Sunday morning, I'm looking forward to getting the message. It's always Steven. Somehow you're always the first one to go, it's race time, boys. And I'm just like, I feel like the last 8 races, I've been rushing my ass off to get to wherever I was going to watch it in time to start it. And it's always right as I'm getting about close to settled, Steven, you'll just text and be like, race time, boys, let's go. And it's cracked me up every time. You kind of fell in love with it the same way I did, where it's like you just watched one and then just got hooked immediately and just turned into a huge fan of it so fast. So I know you've been learning a lot as things go by. How is what's your reaction to the start of the season, and what's been your favorite race so far?
Well, for me, it's been exciting all the way through. Even some of the short track races, they had really cool finishes. Even if they were a little boring throughout the race or whatever, they still had good finishes. It'd have to be Atlanta for me. I mean, obviously the historical finish 3Y, like that was crazy, which that's one of those one of those races that you may see once in your life like that, if or once a decade, who knows? But but I've honestly enjoyed every single race so far. I'm still learning different tracks and styles and racing. I wasn't a huge fan of the road map or the road race or whatever.
Coda.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the last one.
You're not the only one, so that's okay.
Yeah. Just because I didn't grow up racing cars, so it's hard for me to really understand like just the talent that it takes to run those types of courses and the strategy and all that. So it's going to take me a little longer to get into those, but honestly, I've just enjoyed every race. I mean, there hasn't been one that I've just been like, whatever. Like, like you say it all the time, Dawson. It's just like any race is a good race if it's watching drinking beer and watching the racing on Sunday. So I can't complain too much. Yeah, maybe next year when I learn more, I'll start complaining a little bit more.
Totally.
You aren't you definitely cross over as a NASCAR fan from like beginner fan where you're excited about everything. Speaking from experience, beginner fan where you excited about everything, even the bad races are fun because it's just stuff you've never seen before, and eventually you hit this crossover point where it's just like your tweets go from super positive to bitching about everything and replying to Bob Pockris asking him if he has lights on anything. So it's real funny to watch the transition happen for somebody else and watch somebody else as they're kind of like coming into the sport and being just super excited with fresh eyes. Sometimes it can really open up even the stuff that we complain about. It's like, well, somebody with fresh eyes is enjoying it, so hell, it can't really be too bad. And it definitely seems to be working this year for NASCAR, especially after, like you said, some of the historic finishes we've already had. I mean, shoot, you even had this weekend at Texas with the Xfinity Series finishing by, I think NASCAR Chasm put it best. He's like, man, everything's bigger in Texas, but they only won by the width of a M&M's peanut M&M.
Yeah, that was an exciting race. And I was actually in the pit box at the finish.
Weren't you?
Yeah, I was right across. I mean, it was like maybe at like 2 o'clock from me. I mean, I was right there. I was in Cole's pit box. So it was pretty cool. And it'd been a long time since I'd only been to Bristol once. That was my only NASCAR, experience. So just being able to hear the guys talking on the radio and stuff like that again was cool to experience.
Heck yeah. And so it's got to be wild to only have seen a few of them and then getting to sit on the pit box. What was your reaction to all the radio chatter that was going on in your head?
Man, it was cool. It's still mind-blowing to me a little bit that the casual fan can just listen in on the radio. I mean, I just feel like that's such a sacred thing because, like, to me, I would never think, well, I could never listen to what they're telling Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. Like, why the heck do I get to, it's crazy, but I do love that. I think that's my favorite thing about NASCAR is that it's so inclusive to like everybody, and like it's so hands-on to the casual fan that you can buy a ticket to go to the garage and see the guys right there. I mean, haven't even told you this, but I was 5 feet from Kyle Larson while he was signing autographs in the garage Sunday, which is crazy. I mean, he's one of the mega stars in the sport, and I'm just right there beside him, like right before he races, which is crazy, which is cool.
That is awesome, man.
Yeah, that is the pit box is by far the coolest experience to watch a race. Like you just get everything. You're also shaded, not in the sun, which is awesome. But then like you have every piece, not that even any of us know what all the information means, but you have every piece of information right in front of you. You're listening to the scanner. You're right behind the crew chief that's making all the calls. It's just if there's anywhere to watch a race, that's the place. If right there on top of the pit box.
Yeah, it was incredible weekend, man. It was top to bottom. We can get more into it if you want me to, but and especially like my girlfriend being there with me, and she had never like I'm trying to get her into NASCAR. It's it's going to be a work in progress, but the fact that any live sporting event is just better when you're there, and just for her to like be there and get that kind of experience and just feel the cars and their power and how loud they are, just like the whole thing, man. It's I can't repeat some of the things we said in the group chat, but you know how I feel about when I hear those cars. So
yeah.
We definitely had a lot of fun things to say on that. That was a good time.
Yeah. And I feel like I don't bring it up every week, but the more races that go by in the last maybe 18 months, kind of like since this podcast, the more people, like after a race, like Lindsay is all in. You got my dad. You got my mom and sister. We're in a group chat. We're doing like a fantasy thing now. When used to, it was kind of like me and my dad always talk about racing, but like just me and Caleb or me and someone else. But now it's like everyone. I don't know if it's because like I'm such a big fan, like we're such big fans, it just kind of like bleeds off into other people, or like because people are really interested in the racing. I don't know what it is, but there are more people in my like inner circle that I just talk about racing with now. Our group chat included. It's just like there's racing talk to talk about all the time, and I freaking love it.
Hell yeah. It's definitely a lot of fun. And Steven, you were there because of Andy's Frozen Custard, right? Was it them that had invited you out?
Correct. So
Hell yeah.
they sponsored the Xfinity race, which is kind of crazy to see. Like, just I mean, it was their name. Their name was that. Right. Which I didn't know that until you guys had texted me that.
Yeah, it sounded like a multi-year deal to keep doing it.
Yeah, so they did that, and my girlfriend is family friends with them. She grew up with some of their kids, and so I got to do a private event for them earlier in the year, and then they invited me to sing "God Bless America" during the Xfinity race, which was awesome. Which I know you guys are singers too, so like those types of songs make me more nervous than
the most nerve-wracking thing ever.
Because everybody knows them, and you don't like. If you do a great job, you just want to be like not remembered for it at all. It's like, oh, good job. Like, let's move on. Like, but it was awesome. Did that, and then got to sing the national anthem at the dirt track, which there were so high winds and they were packing everything down. They were delayed for about an hour, so my heart was just beat down out of his chest.
Damn.
But it was
awesome.
Like
you're about to strap in.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. But that was really cool too, because Kyle Larson raced in the dirt. I think he owns that series.
He owns that series, yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
So he raced in it. I'm pretty sure Ricky Stenthouse was in it. There's 3 or 4 Cup guys that were racing, which is really cool that, they got a huge race the next morning. They're out here, essentially what looks like to me go-karts, but they have, which I learned those have way more horsepower than the Cup cars, which is crazy.
Way more dangerous. Way more everything.
Yeah, no freaking doubt about it. What's that power to like the weight to horsepower ratio is like 1-to-1 or something.
They got about as much horsepower as they weigh, which is insane.
Yeah, I think we didn't get to finish the finale. We had to leave, but I think when I saw it, 3 or 4 cars like we're doing somersaults. I mean,
saw a really, really bad wreck. I don't know if you were there from that, but a guy had flipped, and then another guy just hits him while he was upside down. Like, he's upside down. This is the front of his car. Just runs up under him right in his face. And, it's super cool to me. That's almost, is for you to go to do that is almost as cool as doing the Cup race, in my opinion, because I love when there is a dirt race where they can incorporate some of these other series in with a Cup Series race. And there was so much hype. Like I told you this on the group chat, but there was pretty much every NASCAR podcast that I listened to last week, they were all planning to go. So that's what I was telling you. Outside of just the 3 or 4 drivers you saw there, and you also saw like guys like Brad Sweet, who is one of the most successful 410 sprint car drivers of all time. He owns that. That's Kyle Larson's brother-in-law. They own that series together. It's called the High Limit Racing Series. And just like people that were there, not like I said, not the drivers, just people that were there, like all the big time people. And Kyle and Brad are doing so much to try to. I mean, it kind of seems like they originally said they didn't want to be a threat to Outlaw Series, but now it's like they're racing at all their racetracks and hiring all their people. And I think this is Kyle Larson's retirement plan. Just looking at it from the outside in. So they're hiring all the right people, all the events. They kind of talked about too. I'm not trying to get too far off track here, but I just wanted to say it's cool that you were there and all the stuff they're doing with it. And there's been races where like the Brad and Kyle said that, drivers didn't get paid much as they should and the teams didn't get paid much as they should. So they straight up just put their money where their mouth is, started a series. And now every single race they run is a high money race. They get big time drivers there, and it just is. It's only its second season, and it's freaking on Cup race weekends now. So they're doing well.
Yeah, no doubt. I didn't even know half of that. That was an education for me too.
I just know it all. I grew up in the dirt track. That's how I became a NASCAR fan, is the dirt track world. Sprint cars aren't super popular in my exact neck of the woods, but late model racing is super popular. But then there's late model fans and there's sprint car racing fans, and they like to fight and argue about who's the better and who's the best and what the best series is and all that. And I have personally only seen the World of Outlaws race twice in my life. And the World of Outlaws is the NASCAR version of sprint car and late model racing. That's like your big time guys and all that stuff. So all that to say, we can go back to NASCAR, but just want to throw it out there. I thought it was really cool that you got to do that. I thought it was awesome.
No, it was awesome. It was a huge event. I kind of compared it to, like, I know you have these, and so does Texas, these huge high school teams where, you got tens of thousands of fans in the stands. It kind of felt like that. Felt like a huge high school football game where it's just like, I was like, wow, all these people, like, this is crazy, There was a lot of people there.
And people are drawn to that, like, local feel as well.
Right.
It's even more local feel than NASCAR, than a NASCAR race, and like a lot of those guys, they'll that's how one of the reasons, with outside of Kyle being so popular at all these dirt track races he does and goes to, he stands at his hauler and signs autographs for the hundreds of people that come in. People take pictures of him every single weekend signing at his hauler, and people are just funneled in. And they don't have to have a special pass to do that, nothing. If you go to the race, they park the haulers outside the racetrack. You can go over there, and if you want to get a Kyle Larson autograph and shake his hand, you can walk right up to him.
So cool.
Unprecedented access.
It is.
And Joey Logano says we're spoiled.
That is such a stupid statement that he made, and that was earlier in the year. I'm not even going to go into all that, but Joey Logano is spoiled. I'll say that.
He could be. His new hairline helps him out a lot. No doubt.
Well, he might change his attitude. He hadn't been doing too well this year, so
dang, shots fired early. Let's go.
I don't know. I don't know when or why or how or why they're doing what they're doing, but all I know is that he hasn't been performing, or their team hasn't. So
you ain't wrong. He's 15th in points right now. I just checked.
Well, I guess that's not as bad as I thought, because he was. I mean, the only race was
for Logano though. That still ain't good.
Right. Yeah. Right. Because he's, he's one of the top, supposed to be one of the top dogs, right?
Yeah, he's definitely 100%. He's one of those generational talents that they like to talk about. He's got a lot of years left in him. Everybody's already pointing at him as a member of gonna be up high in the all-time NASCAR wins list because he started at 18,
and he's already a two-time champion.
Yeah. So being in 15th in points right now is definitely a lackluster year, especially considering that your teammate at 12 is in 7th. So. At least he's outperforming the 2, though. I mean, there's I don't know what else can be said about the 2 car.
What is up with the 2 car, man? Austin Cindric, man. He came out of Xfinity, and I was like, he comes out of Xfinity, and I was like, this dude's going to light the world on fire. He went to Daytona 500, and if he wouldn't have won the Daytona 500 his rookie season, I don't even know if people would know who Austin Cindric is anymore.
Yeah.
And it goes to show you how fast, like, things can change in this sport. If you're not up there and you're not getting the finishes, nobody's talking to you, and as soon as nobody's talking to you, you are forgotten about in a way. And it is, I kind of feel like it's do or die time for the 2 car, in my opinion.
I agree. And this race didn't help him out either.
It's just awful. They don't unload with speed. They don't qualify well. They don't run well. They don't get stage points.
It's a wild time.
They don't do anything different to try to get stage points. So I really don't. I have no idea.
Yep. I don't know. It's either, I guess they'll have to go to the Austin Dillon route and get a new crew chief and see how that does for him.
Oh, since you brought it up, okay.
Hell yeah. Let's talk about it. I'm ready. I have been waiting for this moment since Sunday night.
I have never owned a pair of blue sunglasses in my life. And I guess, like, since I've known Caleb, no matter what, he always has a pair of blue sunglasses. He also loses sunglasses more than anyone I've ever met. So even when he loses them, the next day or week, there's another new pair of blue Ray-Bans coming in. Okay, so my
not Ray-Bans. I ain't got that kind of money. But
here
aviators,
we go. Aviators.
For sure.
Well, these right here, these are the fake Ray-Bans. They only cost $15.
The fake bands.
I ordered them a couple weeks ago. Well, they came in yesterday. And since I was like, well, Caleb's going to give me all this shit
Hell
for
yeah, I
picking
am.
Austin Dillon to finish top 10. I was like, well, I just got to, since Caleb's the NASCAR guru now, I want to be like him, so I'm going to wear blue sunglasses.
Just to remind those that may have missed it, and Steven, I know you heard it. Last week on the podcast, I predicted Austin Dillon was going to finish in the top 10. I placed a bet on it. I put
What were
so
his
much
odds
confidence
to finish top 10?
Oh,
Do you know?
gosh. Let me check, because it's in my winning bet slips. Just so
Yeah, I know.
winning bet slip here. It was the hammer of all hammers. I told everybody that this was going to happen. No one wanted to believe in me. Even I didn't fully believe in me. He was plus 500 to get in the top 10.
Wow.
And nailed that sucker. He finished 7th. I told you he was going to be all right by the end, but in the middle, I was getting a little nervous when he was running in his typical 30th place.
Those cautions definitely helped him, and me
Without a doubt.
texting you definitely helped him more by jinxing me
Oh,
by
yeah.
saying that, because
Throughout the whole
it was
race.
deep in stage 2. He was 30th. It was
Yep.
It was before those cautions all started running Willy Wonka, and then he stayed out, and then caution came and all of that stuff. I'm not hating, because no matter how you get it, it's a top 10. So I'm not hating that he got a top 10. But I tweeted out a tweet that said something along the lines like, I wonder if that new crew chief's helping the 3-car running 30th. And then when the race was over, I retweeted myself and said, like, AD got a top 10 or something like that. Like, I'll give credit where credit is due. And Kayla, I was like, hey, that was awesome. I'm glad you did it. But
Yeah,
he ran like shit all day.
he did.
And just finished well. So I can at least hang my hat on that.
Man ran like shit all the way to a 7th place finish.
He did.
My $1 turned into 6, so I'll take it. Thank you, Austin Dillon. I take back all the mean things I said about you on Twitter 2.5 years ago. You're number one in my book for at least the next 4 or 5 days.
Kayla's about to go buy an Austin Dillon hat.
I just might have to, man. As long as
Brutal.
it's $6, because that's all I want on this bet. So,
Brutal.
I got a $6 Austin Dillon hat.
Betting, man, was one of the wildest weeks I've ever had of NASCAR bets ever.
Steven, have you started betting on
Happened this
NASCAR
week.
yet?
I haven't yet, which I don't even know. I know because I'm back and forth between here and St. Louis a lot. You can't bet in Missouri yet. I don't know if you can bet in Texas. I know it's obviously legal here
Nope.
You can
in
bet in Tennessee.
So yeah, most of the time I'm out of town during the races, so I
Feel
haven't
that.
been able to bet yet.
Preach.
Because I don't think about it until it's race day. I'm like, oh, I should have put a bet, and then it's too late at that point.
Do you sports bet at all? Do you do it at all?
Sometimes, but I'm not. I hate losing money more than I like winning money. So it's one of those things.
What a quote.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I might put $20 down on like say the Falcons to win or cover the spread. Just something like that. But
I wouldn't put $20 on the Falcons to win.
Yeah.
That's a good way to lose money right
Yeah.
there.
Hey, maybe this year.
Hey,
we'll
Kirk
see.
Cousins though, we're gonna get it turned around.
Oh God, you'll you'll win everything except for Monday games.
Yeah, but I'm not a big gambler. I don't do enough research. I don't know enough about anything sports wise. I know just enough, but just enough to like give me confidence, and then I'm going to lose my money. Yeah,
Just enough confidence to lose it.
I'm an undefeated college basketball bettor. I just want to keep throwing that out there.
I heard that story. Yeah.
I will never probably ever put another college basketball bet down, but I just still want the world to know I'm 5 for 5.
Yep. Keep it that way.
Batting 1,000. I just didn't bat that much.
Oddly enough, I am in the green in NASCAR betting. I mess up football bets, and I don't really bet on anything else except football and NASCAR. But in NASCAR, even like on a bad day, I still come out okay, which was like yesterday. But I had, and I know I've already told you all this, but I haven't told the public this, but I had a top 10 bet on McDowell, who was close to Austin Dillon. He was 450. And he ran in the top 10 all day and then was in the top 10 when he wrecked. So I saw people that put live bets on him for a top 5 because the odds were so awesome to win money. And everybody's like, he's got top 5 speed. He's got top 5 speed. And I was like, I had the top 10 bet, on this. And so that didn't work out. I had a bet on Larson to win, so he dominated before his wheel falls off. I had a bet on Reddick. He led plenty of laps, had the fastest car on the track at most points during the day. That didn't work out. I had a bet on Bubba Wallace. And Bubba, when I don't bet on him, he'll run good. And when I bet on him, he runs like he's never ran a race before. That's just my luck.
Just wreck people.
Yeah, especially Larson.
I don't know. He pulled a Denny Hamlin at the end of the race, but in like whatever the end of that stage was there, just drove off in the corner and got loose and into the 14. Then he comes back and he's battling for the lead, and I felt good about it. And then he's back in like 20th, and then he finished like 7th or 6th or something. I was like, what an up and down day for him. But
yeah, no doubt.
I still ended up hitting a couple bets that paid out over $20 a piece, so I got my money back.
There you go.
I had Reddick, top Toyota, which I didn't even notice that it hit till me and Kay was on the phone. And then I had Elliot over Blaney and Byron over Larson, and that hit. So those are my 2 that hit. That I ended up winning like $40-something bucks.
Nice,
which broke even because I bet $45 a weekend.
My only 2 that I ended up hitting were the Austin Dillon bet and Brad K in the top 10. I had Tyler Reddick as a top 3. Well, technically Allison had Tyler Reddick top 3. He finished in 4th. I had Bubba Wallace finish in top Toyota. He was the 2nd Toyota. So all of my bets were just 1 position off of everything.
Yeah.
Which is just the way it goes.
This weekend was a lot of luck, I think, as far as betting. I mean, I'm excited to talk about the race because I know you guys watched on TV and I was there. So it's hard. It was hard for me to like see everything, especially that track where they're so spread out, where I'm looking this way and something happens over here. And, but yeah, like it was just total chaos from what I saw.
Oh God, especially once you got around to stage 3, I swear it turned into an all free for all. It was just who survives this stage.
Well, let's start it out with this. Both of y'all give me an answer. For the Jeff Gluck poll, did you think Texas was a good race?
Yeah.
I thought being there, I thought it was amazing. I mean, there was a lot of excitement. It was, just when somebody started pulling way ahead and you think, man, this thing's just going to run out, a caution would come out. They get grouped back together and it just kept it. And maybe that's what made it exciting for me was all the cautions that kept the race from being too boring. But yeah, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I mean, there was 3 overtimes or something crazy like that to finish, and then hearing the entire stands boo whenever Denny wrecks. I mean, it was crazy.
I wish I could have heard that, man. They were talking about it in the booth.
Or cheer, not boo. Sorry, cheer. They were booing him, but they were cheering that he wrecked. So that was.
It was incredible. That's the best part about it is when the polarizing guys have anything happen to them, especially Denny nowadays.
Yeah, I thought the race was awesome. The uncertainty, which I have preached on this podcast all year long for 2024. The uncertainty was at an all-time high. You just said it. Like, you never knew what was going to happen next. And as long as you never know what's going to happen, it's going to be a good race, in my opinion. And I know I keep saying that every episode. But when Texas you could see it in the corner. Turn 1, since its reconfiguration, has been where you just can run just the inside lane. And they've done all this stuff with PJ1. And we're not even going to get into all that. But you could see multiple grooves in the corners. There was 2 lanes in the corners of the track, and that's an extra 15-20 foot that hasn't been at that racetrack since when did they reconfigure it? 2017, I think.
I can't even remember ever seeing a second lane.
Yeah, so just having the second lane, and Denny Hamlin says that what makes next-gen cars be awesome at these mile-and-a-half tracks is when you have another lane, you can get out of the wake of the other car. He's like, you're going to have good racing because when both cars can get clean air, it's awesome. And when you're stuck right behind another guy, it's terrible. And I mean, we see it every single weekend. It's like, that's exactly what it is. So they had room to race, and I am all for it. I said on here last week talking about blown tires. There was not many blown tires, but I loved how edgy and on edge it looked like the cars were. That's how every race looked with 1,000 horsepower. The cars looked like they were literally, you did not know what was going to happen. And I'm just like you said, when you don't know what's going to happen, good things happen. So I loved it. I voted yes on the poll, thought it was awesome. For some reason, I was just like 50-50. I was like, this race could suck, but I was like, I don't know. Once I saw the truck in the Xfinity race, I was like, my hope started like switching. Like, I was like, I don't know. I see a lot more grooves and racing on here than I've seen in the last 8-9 years. And so I went into Sunday morning with like, this could be cool. And I thought it turned out to be awesome. So good job.
The next gen car reigns supreme at the 1.5 miles. It was everything that we always had a problem with them back in the day. It's allowed them to have a little bit of a different feel to them, where it does have that unpredictability factor. I mean, even Chase gets out of the car after getting his first win in 42 races. Even he said, I just did not expect Texas to be where we break this winless streak, but hell yeah, let's go. Take it where you get it.
First top 5 in a 1.5 miles on the next gen car.
Yep.
Wow.
Crazy, dude.
So that was a really loud cheer too when he won.
God, I can imagine.
Fan favorite, but that was
anything
cool
on fire?
to be able to. Nothing on fire. You know, the only thing I was a little disappointed, he didn't do any burnouts. He drove down the front stretch and turned around, and
that was really cool though. He did that for Alan Kowicki, whose
Is that what it
sponsor
was?
He's the one that started the Polish victory lap. Him and his dad had a great battle back in the day. His sponsor was Hooters back in the day. So everything that he did in that post-race thing was like for Alan Kowicki as a tribute. That is Hooters' first win in NASCAR in 32 years.
Wow.
The last win was with Alan Kowicki.
Well, that's
back
cool.
in 92.
Yeah,
so, yes,
you know,
I do love
there,
burnouts, but it doing all of that was very cool to see, I thought.
Yeah. See, I missed a lot of things because I'm in person, so I can't hear what the announcers are saying and explain everything. So
totally,
that is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's the best part about it too, is NASCAR is such a sport based on the history of it in a way that I think baseball is about the only one that I can think really rivals the historical aspects of, at least that I've seen. If somebody has a correction on that thinks some other sport I don't pay much attention to does. But I feel like baseball has the similar thing to NASCAR, where it's all about tradition and the history of the sport, where things came from. The reasons why people do things a lot of times in NASCAR has little to do with ego and so much to do with respect for the history. And that's something that's really cool to see, because even I didn't know that when he was doing that Polish victory lap. It was the first Hooters win in 30 years and all this stuff that you just said. It was things that I didn't even know about. But then once you are like learn the history of those different things that happen in the sport, it suddenly opens your eyes to so many reasons why people do things the way that they do. And it's really cool to see that play out in front of you. A lot of things that I learned from Dawson as I was getting into NASCAR wasn't just how the race itself worked, but the history of the sport and different things. We'd go back and watch old historical races where I didn't know the winner.
We still do.
Yeah, and still do. And sometimes it's a race that even Dawson doesn't remember who won. And we'll just go back and rewatch it just to get that little glimpse into the past. And it taught me a shitload about NASCAR, just going back and doing all those kind of things. Things that you wouldn't even think were important.
Yeah, and speaking of history, I got to take a garage tour with a guy named Rocco. I'm sure y'all probably heard of this guy. He was the first black guy on a championship pit crew, and he is the guy. I think he does like behind the scenes stuff now, but he's the guy that kind of started the trend of going to find athletes to be on pit crews. Like, he was kind of the front runner and that whole thing, and how it's changed the game. Like, because he was, I'm sure y'all know more of this history than I do, but how, pit stops used to be 20 seconds long or whatever, and now they've got them down to 9 seconds, and how he's literally the front guy that's the ones that goes out and responsible for recruiting these big time college athletes and these people who may retire from their sport, but they still have a lot to give athletically, and that how it's changed the sport, and it's awesome. And man, he just knew so much about NASCAR, and it was a cool experience to just learn all this extra stuff that I didn't have a clue about,
Man, that is awesome. That would have been so much fun to do that kind of a tour with somebody like that, with so much history in the sport. That's incredible.
Yeah, pit stops, just to throw it out there, Chase Elliott, the 9 team broke the record again for fastest pit stop ever.
Did they?
With a 8:49.
Damn.
Ooh. Which is just
that's
mind-boggling, man. Ray Evernham was on the Dale Jr. Download earlier this year, and he was talking about how all that kind of started changing, like in the 90s, early 2000s, when like exactly what you're talking about, when they, would bring athletes in and stuff like this. And before that, it was literally just the guys that worked on the car in the shop. They just brought them out to like change tires and do this. And a lot of the times they would do big adjustments and do a lot of work on the cars. And then when it got to this point, he was like, they were talking about, he was like, I don't need these guys I need these guys in the garage doing all the work before the race and up before. But he's like, once we're racing, he's like, I need to get this done as fast as possible. Not having just the guys that are mechanics. And it was kind of funny. I had never heard anybody talk about this before, but kind of them, like him specifically, was talking to Rick Hendrick, who was the boss man at the time. He had this idea, and he had told him this idea, and they were all under the impression of originally, like, why would we hire more guys when we already have these guys here? Why would we hire an extra set? Because back in the day, it used to be 7 guys that went over the wall. And he was like, because, we could be faster and this, that, and the other. And just to hear him talk about that transition of, because he used to be Jeff Gordon's crew chief back in the heyday in the 90s. And for him to talk about that transition and him to, when he like went to the mechanics, and he's like, some mechanics were like, hell yeah, man, I'd rather just work on the car and not try to get run over every weekend. And then some of them were like very prideful in the fact of like, you're saying I can't change tires. I mean, I'm a mechanic, and you're saying I can't change tires. So it was just funny to hear him talk about all that, and that's some more behind the scenes stuff that even a guy like me, I'd never heard, that really talked about, and how the transition really went down. So it is crazy.
That is incredible. Yeah, it definitely is a wild thing to see those kind of history things play out, and we're gonna have to come up with a new award, the Lane Frost Award, for any pit team that can change the entire car and add gas in it in under 8 seconds. We're all aiming for that 8-second mark.
They're getting closer by the weekend, dude. They're 4/10 away from a 8-second flat.
I mean, that's incredible.
I didn't think that was possible, because what was the race a few weeks ago where Denny had like a second faster and he was like 9.5 or something and ended up winning? I forgot what race it was, but
yeah,
like that was huge, and like
it's
you take another second off. Yeah, when you take another second over that. Yeah. And now you take another second off that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I had the conversation. I was with my dad earlier today, and we were literally talking about this and about kind of like loose lugs and just kind of the whole thing. And I was like, this is going to make me sound like an old man. But I remember, and it wasn't that long ago, I'm talking about within 10 years ago, like when you could get a 14-second pit stop, like 14 seconds was the goal. And now they're blowing the doors off 14 seconds by 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot wrap my mind around, still to this day, that they can change 4 tires and put 18 gallons of gas in a race car in 8 seconds. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. And I know they don't fill it all the way up with gas because they literally don't have time. But still, the whole aspect of doing all that in 8 seconds is like, it's like, boom, 4 new tires. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
It just is crazy. I don't understand.
Yeah, and races are won and lost by the difference of 8 to 10 seconds. Any of those stops, even the worst ones, would still manage to get you 4 to 5 positions on pit road 8 years ago.
Caleb, wasn't it you last week said in 2024, pit crews are more important than they have ever been ever?
Yeah, and I stand behind that. To this moment.
In the way passing is and all this stuff, that in yesterday passing you could pass, but like say at a Richmond or a Martinsville or where we've had these races, when I texted you, Steven, and you were talking about when I said Reddick was screwed, and he got beat so bad because he was like 5 seconds, I think, different, 5 or 6. He had a 5 or 6 second lead, and then Denny passed him on the pit cycle
on that
there.
green flag,
and that's
cycle.
When I was like, "Oh my God, he is screwed!" And then his car was so fast, he drove him back down. Fox missed it on the broadcast, by the way. So, Steven, you didn't get to see that. Fox missed the pass for the lead on the broadcast, which is just top tier. On that stretch,
that was an awesome pass.
Exactly. So we didn't get to even see the pass until a replay at home. They realized they had missed it, and I wouldn't mind if we talk later on a good digging session on Fox, because I also thought, I was like, these replays are they're kind of driving me insane because every time something happens, it would be it was so bad you couldn't even tell who the two cars were, other than like the car that hit the wall and they zoom in on it. But the two cars that were having contact, you could not see it. And I was thinking all of this. And then I get on Twitter and everyone is flipping out about the broadcast.
Oh, without a doubt. I didn't even know who to be mad at as a Blaney fan when he got wrecked out of the race. I was like, I have no idea who I'm pissed
Blaney
off at.
got flat dumped. I mean, flat ass ran over in the corner, and Fox couldn't have showed you that. No one knew about it till NASCAR posted it on Twitter, and someone made the greatest of great tweets and said, could you imagine if you had to follow the NFL on Twitter to find out what happened during a football game because the broadcast couldn't show it to you? That is so fucked up. You couldn't. The view they had with Blaney and Ryan Preece, one, you couldn't even tell it was Ryan Preece, and two, you couldn't even tell if they made contact. The video they show, Ryan Preece ran through Ryan Blaney, and they did not have a view of that. Like, what the fuck is Fox doing?
We found a tender spot for Dawson Edwards on Fox Broadcasting.
And it happened multiple times yesterday. Every single time there was a wreck, because there was a bunch of wrecks, every single replay looked the same. I was like, they don't even have a camera within 2 miles of Texas to get a fucking view of this. It was bad.
They're at the dirt track. They're at the dirt track.
It's like they had the camera set up for that race. Oh, my. I was just like... And then once it happens once and twice, and then for every caution, I was like, this is so frustrating because I don't even know who's who. That's how far away the views were.
Especially, when he got wrecked, they were still grouped up. They weren't spread out yet, So
how do you miss it?
I just don't understand. And then the final restart, they don't even. So it's either like they're so zoomed in that you can see the hairs on the driver's ass, or they're so zoomed out that you can't even tell what the paint job is of the car that's in the wreck. It's just like, I just don't understand. I just can't even. I don't know how all these people get paid. I mean, they get paid really, really well, and I don't know how that all this happens, but it does. I don't even know what I was talking about before, but anyways.
Yeah, but we got a phenomenal rant out of you on that, so I'll take that all day long. One thing I will give them credit for, and I don't know how much you got to see of this, Steven, but Ross Chastain in the booth was a hit for me. Ross Chastain in the booth was one of the best additions to a booth I've seen in modern memory. He did the Xfinity race, and that dude had stats. He knew names of the main contact for a specific sponsor on a car. He could tell you exactly who it was that he had to work with to get that sponsorship. Just a random one out of nowhere, and just different little things like that. He just knew everything that he needed to know. He was extremely prepared, and he was talking some mad shit in the booth at Ryan Blaney at one point and at somebody else at another. And he was just up there just gigging at people and not giving a damn. It was awesome. I want to see more Ross Chastain in the booth. Watermelon Man, put him back in there.
I did not see any part of the Busch race, so
you missed out. It was a treat.
I listened to the Busch race and kept up with it, but I did not hear the booth of the Busch race.
I think Jeff Gluck put up a poll if Ross Chastain was a good addition to the booth, and it was at like 89% yes. So Ross Chastain is outperforming short tracks on the Jeff Gluck poll.
I personally have always liked when they have the drivers in there. They bring a lot to the table, and you have two drivers up there that have never done it in their life, and they outdo Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip and Jamie Little, who's been doing it since I was fucking born.
Yeah, and they do.
It's another whole issue.
And the digs that they can take at each other,
you get guys in there that just love the sport and are just nerds about the sport, and they love everything they do, and it's like they're talking with their buddies, and they just have so much knowledge. This was cool, when you get like even in the NFL, you get these ex-quarterbacks and stuff like this who they spent so much time learning everything about the sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to listen to them talk about other people playing it because you get a different angle of what it's all about. It's cool to me.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah, it was really cool to see. So I wanted to give a big old Ross Chastain shout out, and I
want to give a shout out to Ryan Sieg.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, that's
dang heartbreaking loss.
Yeah, I mean he is your middle tier working class scrounge for everything they got Xfinity team, and to go up there and run with the big dogs at 1.5 miles, I mean,
be this close.
That's about
so
as,
he's the guy that got second, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean to do that is, I'll never forget. Caleb is I don't know if you are as much now, but used to be a big Jeremy Clements fan back
I
in the day.
I still pay attention. He hasn't done anything of note lately, but I still pay attention.
This was when Caleb first started watching racing. He won a road course race, and he's in that same group, like that underfunded, just drive for yourself, family team, just that blue collar kind of working man's team. And I'll never forget. And at the time, I didn't really. Jeremy Clements has apparently been racing for a long time. Apparently, as of last week, he has the second most Xfinity Series starts in history outside of Kenny Wallace. Which,
wow,
I just didn't know that. I don't know. I don't really remember even hearing about Jeremy Clements until the story that I'm about to tell you. And anyway, so I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't know a whole bunch about it. Well, his crew chief gets off the box, and he's wearing a T-shirt and blue jeans. And I was like, if your crew chief is wearing blue jeans, I fuck with you. Like I'm in. I was like, you are for some backwoods. Like he can get up underneath that car and do some work on it. And I remember saying that to Caleb or somebody because they're just like all cheering. I was like, dude, the crew, they're wearing like blue jeans. Like they got like Wranglers and Levi's on in the pit box. I was like,
they're just out here having a good time.
Like these are our kind of guys. So like Ryan C falls into that, and to run that well at a place that's not like Talladega or Daytona or now Atlanta, that's a huge deal. I mean, huge deal. Even Dale Jr. said he was cheering for Ryan C. And he said that his sister was going to hate him for saying that, but he said he loves a good underdog story. So I was like, damn, he was so close.
How can you not? And when you own the team, you can say what you want.
Yeah.
I was really hoping he was going to show up in Victory Lane too, Junior.
Because
we got to do the Victory
cool.
Lane with Andy's, and I was like, man, because I don't know enough about that series to know all the racers and the teams and all that. But then obviously when their whole crew got there, I'm like, oh, this is Junior's team or whatever. So I was hoping
to be honest,
he'd walk
I
right
doubt
through.
he was even there. I don't think he probably wasn't even
not.
there.
But it was just wishful thinking. I'm like, oh man, I get to see this guy.
No, I would have been the same way.
Yeah, I would have thought the same thing.
I've been trying to meet
especially with his
Jr.
car
my
winning.
whole life, so I'll run into him one of these days somewhere.
Hell yeah, just go down to Whiskey River over there in Charlotte. See if you can run into him somewhere.
Yeah,
love it.
Key West used to be the place to run into him.
Yeah,
I'll never forget.
It might be even too expensive to go to Key West for Dale Jr. at this point.
He sold his house. He doesn't go down there as much as he used to.
Yeah, I can't afford it.
Yeah, I was there the year that he was there. I was at that bar, so I didn't I said hey to him, but I didn't whatever. But yeah,
dang,
one of those things.
Steven, in 6 months of NASCAR fandom, you have already managed to do more things than most people get to do in a lifetime of loving the sport. The only thing you're missing now is watching your favorite driver win at a track while you're there.
Yeah, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but y'all forced me to pick a driver, and I picked Denny, because I watched the series. I was like, I know everybody hates this guy, but he seems like he just kind of likes to win. Don't really care who he offends in the process, and I kind of like that mentality a little bit, which I don't know the history of him, and I know a lot of people don't like him, but I think I told you this too. I think it's awesome for the sport. You got to have polarizing figures, either you love them or you hate them, kind of thing. And it was even like this race this weekend. Like I thought he was going to win it, and then he wrecked, and the whole crowd cheers. Which it's like it's cool. It's like, dang, I kind of wish he was going to be there at the end. But the fact that he got that reaction, for wrecking, which is cool to me. It's like, all right, we got some blood in here.
Yeah,
he's definitely taking Kyle Busch's spot.
Yeah.
As the most hated driver of the entire sport, which is hilarious to me because, to be honest, I could see why someone wouldn't like Kyle Busch, and just anybody wouldn't like him just because of some of the things he said and the ways he carries himself after he lost back in the day at Joe Gibbs. But nowadays with Denny, it's almost like if you hate Denny, it's because you hate seeing somebody so cocky do well. Nobody likes watching a cocky winner. And I think that's 90% of why he does so well. He accepts it when he loses, but he will rub it in your face when he wins. which is hilarious to me because nobody wants to see it, but I'm loving everything I've been seeing out of Denny, especially with the podcast going on now. I mean, it's so much fun to just watch the interactions that people have with Denny on Twitter, with him in the podcast, with NASCAR and him in the podcast. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, him and Marcus Smith getting at each other last week.
I wanted to bring that up too. Whenever we get a chance, I want to bring that up.
Shoot, go for it.
So this weekend you have the feud on Twitter, last week, and then we come to a Speedway Motorsports track, which is the Smiths on racetrack this weekend, and you get to Texas, and what's the first thing everybody notices? The big ass scoring pylon's just been taken down, just not there anymore. And in the truck race, the lights on the inside of turn 3 just ain't working. And Denny Hamlin just goes on there and says, LOL. Loved it. Loved every single thing about it.
Just
I was watching the race.
Dig.
I started watching the truck race. I can't remember where we were at, but it was before the race started, before we got home or whatever. And we were out eating. I had my phone up, and we're eating and hanging out, and I'm watching the race, whatever. And I see the spot they're going by on the track, and I'm like, it looks super dark wherever they're. I like it. I was paying less of attention. I didn't even know what part of the track they were at, but I was like, every time they go by here, I was like, it's just black for 200 yards. I was like, what's going on? Get
just
home,
goofy.
Get on Twitter. People are taking pictures. Just the middle of turn 3 is just black. Lights are just not working. And I was just like, golly, they picked a bad week to mess some of this stuff up after the feud with Denny and Marcus. I was like, if I was Marcus, I might have went down there and made sure some of that stuff worked and was there and, all the things. But
oh yeah,
it just didn't pan out in their favor.
It did not.
Well, speaking of Denny, I got a couple of questions for you. So one, because I haven't seen anything from the race. Obviously I was there, so I didn't get to watch broadcasts. Were there any feuds or did people say anything to each other after the race? Because there were a lot of wrecks, so I didn't know if it was one of those things that maybe someone wrecked somebody else. And then also, I had a view. So where I was sitting, a little bit to the right of the start-finish line, so I could see when Chase when Denny wrecked, when him and Chase were going for it. Was that just Denny just kind of lost it, was going too hard, and just because even during Chase's speech, he said, I haven't seen the replay. I don't think I caused Denny to wreck, but if I did, I'm sorry, but we were just driving hard or whatever. He said something to that extent.
Denny's exact words were post-race that was the hardest he had raced and fastest he was going in that part of the corner the whole weekend. And he knew it was already on edge before even getting in there. And he was like, but it's coming to the white flag, you're not going to lift. So that was just one of those good old racing deals, getting loose, taking some air off the nose kind of situation.
That's exciting. Yeah. That's racing. That's what you want in NASCAR.
Exactly. Hell yeah. Absolutely.
I want cars to be on the edge. And they were this weekend. That's that uncertainty, everything about that, man. Back in the day, even when Caleb first started watching, there's an example of this when Jimmy Johnson got loose on the inside of a car and wrecked at the Brickyard. But back a long time ago, cars would race down side by side and they would pin the inside car down, and the way the air would go, it would make the guy on the inside get loose, and they would wreck all the time by manipulating the air before this whole low horsepower and such and all the things that have happened now, which we are semi working on getting our way out of. But that exact wreck that you just saw with Denny and some of these guys this weekend of just the car busting out from under them, that used to happen every weekend, all the time, happened 2 times in practice, 2 times in qualifying, and then in the race. Because the drivers were going so hard, they had so much horsepower, they had no downforce and no grip, and just going balls to the walls.
Yeah. And I definitely don't think anybody had any fault there. And I think the only situation where I think anybody really got pissed off, I think it was Chastain after him and Byron got together. Chastain definitely got all sorts of hacked off about it. But you watched back at the replays, and William Byron's coming up out of turn 2. Chastain's coming down out of turn 2, and it's just a racing deal where Chastain kind of kind of went down on to William Byron's nose and ended up spinning himself out. So Chastain was pretty pissed off about that. So maybe watch out next week for Chastain to just find out what the backside of William Byron's engine looks like, because he's definitely going to punt him out of the way at some point.
Yeah.
But I can't say that anybody else was really overly pissed off at anybody else. I know Blaney's probably pissed off at Priest, but I haven't seen anything specific about it.
Yeah, me neither, but I was going to say that. I feel like Ryan Blaney is probably highly pissed off with Ryan Priest, because if you haven't seen it, just go to NASCAR, their Twitter, and they posted a video. Ryan Priest doesn't let off the gas and literally runs through Ryan Blaney. I mean, just plows through him, like knocks the cow flaps up and everything. So that one was very just egregious.
It didn't make any
like
sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of wrecks that happen, like I said, just cars being on edge or hard racing. And I even considered I don't really know who to put fault on or what with the 1 in 24. To me, it's kind of like Caleb said. It looked like two cars that were just going to crisscross, and where they crisscrossed, their bumpers touched. And that was just what it was.
Yeah.
But by far the most egregious, just boom out of the way was the 41 hitting the 12. I also thought the first Josh Berry wreck, it looked like he was trying to wreck somebody. I think it was the 47 car was in front of him. It looked like he was trying to just punt him out of the way and missed and wrecked himself. But obviously
there wasn't much contact there. It was slight.
There's no proof to that. But just the way the cars looked on the track, it looked like he was just trying to get in there and do it and then missed. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Josh Berry had a rough go at it yesterday.
He
all
really
the way
did.
Around.
Yeah. I mean, that's SHR in a nutshell right there. They'll have a good week one week, and they'll have a terrible week the next week. You just never know what to expect from them or which team is going to be performing
Something that
well.
blew me away, though. The stat here that blew me away. Chase Briscoe has the most top 5 starts of anyone this season, and he has the 10th best average running order of anybody this season, which is mind-blowing. I saw all the numbers yesterday, and they were from credible people, and I was like, interesting. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, and you think back at it, and like he makes the top 10 like every week in qualifying, and then
he
apparently
finished in 6th.
And he had a good run yesterday, and so I don't know. I just was like kind of mind blown about that. But while we're on the topic, I posted this on Twitter and didn't get zero interaction, which is common. But I just want zero interaction on this. If SHR sells 2 charters, what 2 do y'all think they get rid of? Like, what 2 drivers keep their jobs? What 2 drivers go different places or lose their job or whatever? I don't know. I don't know who brings the most money. I don't know who's the most talented. So I don't know. They got 2 brand new guys in there this year with Barry and Gragson. And you got the other 2 guys haven't done a whole lot. So it's like, who goes, who stays? I just want to hear y'all's opinion, because I tried to get something going on Twitter, but literally nothing. So I'll bring it up here.
Well, I'll start off, but I don't, I'm new to this, so I don't know who's on everybody's team, that sort of thing.
I enjoy hearing a new perspective, though.
Wasn't Gragson one of the guys that we were talking about earlier in the season that was doing kind of well? Or
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
he even ran good yesterday. They posted online about he had on the median lap average stuff, he had top 10 speed yesterday, but he got caught by one of those cautions and he got a lap down, had to get his lap back. Ended up finishing 18th. in the teens. So I think without that caution, though, he runs closer to 10th. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
I'm just going to pass it to you, Caleb, because you have way more knowledge on.
Shoot.
Caleb loves Ryan. Well, Caleb used to love Ryan Priest. He might not anymore after he tried to kill Blaney yesterday.
I'm not a fan of his most recent performance for sure, but I do like Ryan Priest. I am a Ryan Priest fan.
Yes.
He's a blue collar guy, works on his own cars. He definitely knows his shit, and he can drive. I think he's in a bad position right now with a team that's not really put together well, where I just don't think he's actually had his opportunity to shine just yet, and I feel like every week it just digs his grave a little bit further. I'm not sure how long we'll see him in the Cup Series. I hope it's a long extended stay and he doesn't go back to modified racing. But to answer your actual question, if you had to ask me right now, at this point in the season, if they were going to drop 2 drivers, which would they keep? My guess is that they would keep Briscoe and they would keep Noah Gragson. Briscoe's the only one on that team so far that has won for them. Everybody else is all new guys or guys that are you're like Priest, and you've just ran kind of mid ever since you got there. He's the only one that has trophies to support his ride. And he's got a lot of sponsorships that just seem to be working out well. The Mahindra Tractor sponsorship between him and Tony Stewart, it seems like they're a huge supporter of what they've got going on over there. So I think not in just results, but in money he brings in, I think he keeps his ride. And then Gragson, I feel like everybody's kind of seen it. He hasn't had a minute really to get gelled into the team quite as well. He needs a little bit more time with that team to really settle in, but he's already been putting up good numbers. He's already been putting up good finishes when no one else was of that team. He's up there competing with Briscoe as their top driver right now, and he's also an extremely entertaining character who has a lot of love from the people that support him. Bass Pro Shops is 100% in on that guy.
I was just about to say, one of the men that support him is worth over $15 billion. So always keep that in the back of your mind when you think about Noah Gragson.
Without a doubt.
Johnny Morris is who I'm talking about with Bass Pro. So that's always in the back of my mind with the Gragson situation.
No doubt. And I think Josh Berry has a lot of grassroots support, but I don't know how well that's transferring into sponsorship dollars. He still has good sponsors coming in. He's got Sonny D. He's got a couple of those other big guys that do support him per race. But I just haven't seen the production out of Berry that I think people really expected. And I'm not just talking about this year. I'm talking about Xfinity Series last year. It just seemed like I'm always expecting him to do more than he does. It seemed like he came out, whenever he first entered the Xfinity Series, he came out guns a-blazing. He popped off a couple wins there early and was running extreme well at some races where he got taken out. And he was fun to watch. And I just felt like after the first season in Xfinity, that just kind of fell off for me. And I could see him being the one they say, you know what? We're getting a lot of good money from this Gragson kid, and he's actually performing. So I think those two would be the ones that keep their job, and that's the reason why.
Yeah, I think Gragson's like running, even though I just said that stuff about Briscoe, Gragson's running great. So, and I think Gragson is a great race car driver. It's just like getting all this kind of figured out. But I think as soon as and when he gets confident in this car or is with it, maybe a better, whatever the situation is, I think he could be all right. I also agree with you. Briscoe obviously is running great. I mean, he's running, like I said, top 10 average pace for every race this year. And Mahindra is a huge sponsorship. So, you know, like you said, why would they get rid of that? I also, though, about Priest, like I said, he is fully funded as well with all of his stuff. So to me, it's like a really hard decision. It's not just like cut and dry, like, all right, these two guys are running like shit. These two guys are kicking ass. So here's two and, you know, go and leave. I don't know. I feel like Ford or someone may get involved because me personally, I do not see. This is my bold take of the season. I don't know if I see Harrison Burton or Austin Cindric coming back in their respective cars next year.
God, if Harrison Burton comes back in that 21 car, they just don't care anymore.
I don't know if I see that. Either one of those guys. And Steven, if you don't know this, Austin Cindric's dad is the team president for Penske's IndyCar team, Tim Cindric. So his dad works there. His dad is a very high respected guy, but I just don't know. I don't know they're running so bad. I don't know. So I could see Ford getting involved and this driver maybe getting in the 21 car, this guy being in the 2 car, and I could see Dale Jr. getting involved in this and Josh Berry driving for Dale Jr. So I kind of have I don't know what I think is going to happen, but I think Gragson, I'm kind of with you. I think Gragson and Briscoe stay with SHR. and then the other two get meshed in somewhere else. Maybe.
I could see it. I could definitely see it. Well, seeing as we're getting to the hour mark of this podcast, we have a very important topic we haven't covered yet, and I'm excited to get to mine. So I think we need to have Steven start us out with his pick for Hack of the Week this week.
Oh.
I'd have a feeling you know one. I have a feeling you've been waiting. What are we picking for the
I have
award?
been waiting. And
Lay it on us.
I'm gonna get Dawson fired up for this one.
Hell yeah.
Oh, good
Whoever
Lord.
was responsible for putting on Kyle Larson's tire. I don't know. You know, I don't know who's at fault for that, but his tire, it was during a caution, right? Just takes off and just goes. And
made it through the whole green flag run and gets the caution and falls off. I was like, how in the world does that happen?
How does that
like Larson said, though,
happen?
Like, I am so thankful that it didn't come off going 193 miles an hour in the corner.
Oh, gosh,
but, like, how did it stay for the green flag racing and then fall off at the caution?
That blows my mind.
No one has an answer. Even Cliff Daniels. And Cliff Daniels might be the smartest son-of-a-bitch on pit road. He was like, I have no idea. If the tire was loose, which it was, like, how did it stay on?
What had Kyle not notice?
It felt like a meme. He was driving this tire just going around the track by itself, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, and that was so sad because, man, like, obviously you're a huge Kyle Larson fan, but he was running so good. I mean, he was like,
dominating.
just watching him race, it was like, it felt special. It was like, man, that's a race car driver right there. Like, that dude is so good at what he does. And then to have it kind of like just taken right away from him over something silly like that, you know, but yeah, that's my hack of the week.
The funniest thing was Larson on the radio. He's like, I got the right rear. It's like going flat. I got a flat tire, and someone, I assume the spotter, comes off and he says, "No, you have no right rear tire." And Larson just doesn't have a response. Like he's just like,
okay,
oh damn.
Well, it's good knowing you, Cliff. Have fun for the next 2 weeks.
Hey! Bob Pocker has posted the crew chief doesn't get suspended anymore. The crew chief stays. The jackman and the tire changer get suspended. The crew chief gets
lame.
Lame. So is that when something like that happens? Is that like one of the most egregious things that can happen? Is that why they penalize it so heavily? Like
it's not egregious.
It can cause a lot of problems. It's a major safety concern for the driver. So they want to make sure that the teams have sufficient penalty in place to avoid them having this problem. But on top of just a major safety concern for the driver of the car that loses a tire, you also have an errant tire that's now bouncing around the track. Anybody can hit that, hits a windshield. That could cause a lot of major damage.
It can go into the stands,
punted into the stands.
It can go in the infield, which has happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's going 200 miles an hour, and you know, telling okay,
exactly.
It's a bullet,
so
a big bullet. That's all it is.
Whenever the next gen car came in and they went to the single lug nut pattern doesn't exist anymore. Compared to the old 5-lug, the 5-lug, if you had loose lug nuts, it was a big deal at the end of the race. They would go by and check everybody's tires and make sure.
It was like $10,000 for each lug nut missing that you had on your car.
Yeah. So a lot of times in the race, they'd miss a lug or two and it would come off. But because you had 5 of them, it wasn't too big of a deal. They'd have loose wheels, but it was more just a problem of you don't want the studs to get bored out. So it wasn't as big of a safety concern back then. It was just a race concern. You don't want too many loose lugs or your tire's not attached properly. But nowadays, it's a huge deal. And so this new rule of crew member ejections and safety concerns and the high dollar amount of every fine for loose tires has become such a big deal nowadays. So that way you're just not tempted at all to cut any corners. You will reverse the car if you feel like it has a loose lug on it. You'll tell him to come back in. It's just not worth it to risk it anymore.
But
so
it
it's
happens
definitely changed
all the time because there's only one lug. And if you don't hit it, there's nothing else to hold it on. So it's going to come off.
Right.
That's why you saw loose wheels with the 19 yesterday, 2 loose wheels with the 54 yesterday. The 20 car had a loose wheel last week, but it got wedged up into the car, like in the wheel well. You only get penalized if the wheel detaches from the car and the wheel is loose, running around in the air, you know, in the racetrack, whatever. So, like, last week, the reason there was no fines or penalties for Christopher Bell, the wheel comes off, boom, straight locked into the wheel well. It can't go anywhere. So it happens I mean, shoot, I'd say at least once or twice a race now, and it's because there's only one lug nut. And they show that damn thing with that little pop-up thing on the hub every single fucking week, and it's like, I fucking understand. I understand that's why. That doesn't stop them from it accidentally happening sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And I get they're just showing it to whoever and new people and all that, but it's like they show the same diagram the same way every week.
I think they honestly paid probably like $25,000 to get that one graphic design. They're probably just trying to get their money's worth out of it.
And it happens so much, I guess they have to show it. But it's like, whatever that little thing is, like the wheel when the lug nut goes over it, obviously the lug is like tightened with threads, but that also pops out to like keep it, secure on there.
So your hack of the week is the Fox broadcast showing the lug nut going on?
Bro, my hack of the week could be the Fox broadcast every race they broadcast. So I have to pick something else because it could be Fox every single time. The way that Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick like disrespect Mike Joy, they act like he's not even in the booth. Clint and Kevin just joke around. Kevin says basically is like, I'm better than you and your driving career sucked, which Clint Boyer's driving career sucked. So it is what it is. And all that mixed together with having cameras 2 miles away or camera on Chase Elliott's asshole hair, there's no in between. It's just fucking awful. Fox sucks.
Hack of the week, Fox Broadcasting.
And I'm so excited that NBC did that whatever deal for the CW to get the Xfinity Series early for the last 8 races. I'm so excited for Amazon. I'm so excited for the CW to come in and there to be some actual rivalries in the broadcasting world, because it's just been the same two people with no competition since 2000. I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
Like, give me a break.
Well, it's
anyway,
coming.
That's not my hack of the week, though. That's not my hack of the week, actually.
So what is your hack of the week, Dawson?
Marcus Smith.
Ooh.
Marcus Smith for having this feud with Denny Hamlin and then having the damn pylon tore down. So no one at the racetrack has any idea. I've never been to a racetrack, not even the fucking Rome Speedway. We can tell who's in what spot at Rome Speedway. No one at the track. You, Steven, unless you have your cell phone or you're listening to the scanner or something, you have no idea who to tell you what lap it is, who's in first, who's in 10th, nothing. You have you're just there watching cars going around the track. Hope you enjoy this.
Was it not on Big Hoss? Did they not put up the scoring on Big Hoss? Did you see that, Steven?
Yeah, the scoring runs across the bottom.
TV monitor?
Yeah, the scoring runs across the bottom of Big Hoss, yes.
So they did have a big like Jumbotron, but it wasn't like very, it was still a little confusing. I mean, they had the lap up there, but,
Yeah, there's nothing confusing about the pylon. Pylon's this big-ass thing up there. Here's what lap we're on, and we got a first position, car number. Second position, car number. Third position, car number. Marcus Smith's like, no, we'll just take that away. So take that away.
Yeah.
After you have this big argument with Denny Hamlin and say, you don't know what we do this, Denny Hamlin saying, y'all don't reinvest your money, whatever. The crowd looked great at Texas yesterday, by the way, on TV. I don't know how it looked there, but it looked great on TV.
It was full.
But
hell yeah. I love to hear that.
But
Texas showing
you take
up.
down the scoring pylon with all that, and then you don't have the fucking lights working. You got to be kidding.
Marcus Smith.
What are the odds of all that happening? It's just
pretty good when it's SMI, I reckon.
Made himself look like a Looney Tune after saying all that stuff. And then the first race that he hosts after this argument, you have these two massive things. And then naturally, there's way more people on Denny Hamlin's side than Marcus Smith's side. There's no one at the racetrack. It's like, man, I love Marcus Smith. This is awesome. I love not being able to see what the hell is going on. No one's on his side. So then after this argument, you just did this, and now they're just the fuel on the fire on social media, dude. Just like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
And he doesn't care because he's worth $500 million and he lives in a humongous house and has his wife and his kids. And he's like, what's it matter to him? I don't even know if it does matter to him.
Damn straight.
Who's your hack of the week?
My hack of the week, without a doubt and unequivocally, is Sam Mayer. He wins the Xfinity race by the smallest, tiniest little margin ever. And everything was going right. I didn't have a single problem with anything that happened. Then he gets out of the car, gives that interview, and right after the interview's over, he has got to do the dumbest looking fake pistol opening his chest, like the goofiest little celebration after he gets out of the car. Even me and Allison stopped what we were doing, looked at the TV, and I turned back and looked at her, and her look was so disgusted and turned off. She was like, "Oh, I hate him immediately for that little celebration he just did."
Off the Sam Mayer train immediately.
Yeah, dude, the Sam Mayer train departed, and I was sitting at the station with my ticket in hand, looking good. Well, glad to see you go. Because
oh my god!
And I don't know if they probably didn't show Victory Lane,
awesome.
but they give the winners cowboy hats, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody from his team like put the cowboy hat on him, and then they put their hat on top of the cowboy hat. I'm like, no, like the whole point of winning in Texas is just to have just the cowboy hat. Like you don't put your ball cap on top of the cowboy hat.
That's incredible.
Come on, man.
Holy crap. Yeah,
hey, they used to give you 2 pistols when you won at Texas, but since we're in 2024, that is no longer a thing. So thanks Marcus Smith for that too.
Yeah. No, it was just hilarious. I mean, it was straight up a rip the shirt open,
oh, man.
brush the dust off of the suit. I was like, dude, you look like a fool right now. You are the only one this happy for you right now.
Brutal.
So that's my hack of the week.
I gotta see.
You've got to see the clip. If anything, I will post it on our Instagram story for Raised Rowdy Racing. I'm gonna tag him in there. It was ridiculous. So,
that's awesome.
Anyways, that's my hack of the week. It looks like Riverside may be having some sort of issue on my end, so hopefully this all records. But
you're very
either
blurry.
way, I figured I am. That's that AT&T gig Wi-Fi for you. Big shout out to AT&T. There's a reason Xfinity can sponsor the Xfinity series.
Did you just go away?
That could have been the most perfect timing ever.
Dude,
Big
I
shout
just heard
out
a
to AT&T,
clack.
and then
like a pop, and it just goes away.
Well,
I think we lost him. Oh my god, this is incredible. Oh, he's out.
Nope.
He's out.
He's gone.
Well, Steven, thanks for coming on. This is, obviously you listen. We usually do like an hour. We're at an hour 15. So thanks for coming on. We're at Big Bad Talladega this weekend, which is freaking God's country. That's the
I'll be watching.
most exciting race of the year, in my opinion. So Talladega should be next on your list of places to attend.
I can't wait, man. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm a NASCAR fan, and whoever's listening, if you're thinking about getting into NASCAR, just do it. It's worth every second.
Just dive in.
Just dive in. It's. I know you think they're just turning left and going in a circle, but it's a million times more than that. It's exciting.
Totally. Oh, Caleb's coming back. It looks like. Are you there?
Yep.
Are you there, Caleb? Oh, you can't hear us.
He's concentrating. He's got the concentrating face on right now. He's trying to figure it out.
Holy shit, this is awesome. Since we're still on air, Steven, when we leave this, don't press leave.
Okay.
He said no clue what's going on. Since he started this, I don't know if we can even end this thing. We kind of look like idiots here. I kind of like an idiot here.
No, that's all right. Well, so what's new for you on the music side of things? You said I know y'all talk about tour all the time. Are y'all back to work this weekend?
Yes, we are we're in North Carolina, Kentucky, and Ohio with Travis this weekend. And that's going great. We're doing these rock the country shows, which are, it's just a lot going on. That's the only way I know to say it. But yeah, and then on my side of things, I just started like 2 weeks ago, started working on a new project, putting 4 songs out this year, which will be cool. But yeah, how about you? How's everything going?
Awesome. By the time this podcast comes out, I will have announced a new song. I'm doing a collab with my buddy Alex Smith coming out, I believe, this Friday. So
I saw the teasers for this.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
Caleb's back in.
I'm
he's
back.
back.
I'm back, boys.
Yeah. So, yeah, by the time this comes out, yeah, we will announce it. So, and then
That's awesome.
obviously, and then, there's a song that me and old Dawson right here have written together that I should by the end of next week have the first mix
buddy.
for it.
Let's
so
go.
Buddy.
That could be the summer song of 2024 if all goes plan and I get it back in time. So
I just want everyone to know. So we wrote this song, probably last year?
Yeah.
The end of last year. It wasn't, I don't think it was summertime when we wrote the song. But anyway, when I turned this song in, so you turn the song in, you got the title and all the stuff. Well, in the subject bar, I put the title of the song, dash, this is a hit song.
Love it.
And I told Steven about that, and I was like, dude, I got to show you that I actually put this, like, I turned this in this way. So, yeah, it's, I'm pumped about it.
That's confident.
I'm super pumped about it.
I'm excited for y'all to hear the full studio version of it.
It's going to be awesome. I really am. I'm super pumped about it.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, Caleb, you were talking. You were absolutely digging on AT&T. We hear this, and you just go away.
Yep. This is why the Xfinity series isn't sponsored by AT&T. I'll tell you that much. But either way, we managed to get it figured out. I think I just lost momentary internet connection. Utilities around here have been a crapshoot lately, so you never know what you're gonna get.
Hell yeah. Well, we were kind of wrapping it up right when you came back on. So we can everybody follow Stephen Paul on social media.
Do it.
Stephen Paul Music on everything, correct?
Yes. I think maybe Twitter, maybe like Stephen Paul or something. But yeah, if you just type in Stephen Paul, then it should pop up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we'll find you on there.
And don't forget
Dawson
to follow
Music everywhere for me.
And follow
ahead,
your
Caleb,
favorite idiot with an Austin Dillon obsession, Caleb Conrady. Follow me everywhere. Just look for the blue sunglasses. If you're confused and there's a lot of A's on the page, you're probably over on Dawson's page. Now that he's my newest sunglass supporter. Hell
yes,
yeah.
Sir.
Hey, by the way, your mom did send me pictures of the crock pot that you had out at your cookout the other day, so we know that the crock pot recipes are working. We appreciate y'all sending those in every week. Cream cheese
you had to
only.
Guess what you think was in there?
What did I think was in that crock pot?
Yeah, what do you think was in that crock pot?
Oh, I'm going to guess some sort of dip.
Boiled peanuts.
Boiled peanuts. Why did I not think of that?
He's from Georgia.
I've made them so many times.
I know. I can't believe I
hell?
didn't think of it. I'm sorry. I haven't had boiled peanuts in too long. I haven't been around Georgia much.
Yeah, we had I'm not gonna lie. Last Saturday, one of the best Saturdays I have ever had in my entire life.
Dang.
It was dude. We had like all of Lindsay's family over, all of my family over. My mom and dad were both there. Like we had the chickens out in the backyard, Ramsey's out. We set a tent up, had all these tables. We went and bought shrimp and sausage and corn and onions and taters. Bought some Louisiana crawfish boil seasoning that would roast your butthole. It was so spicy. It was tasting incredible.
I love it.
But boiled peanuts, Mom made some dips, and we literally hung out outside from like noon until I didn't go to bed till 1 a.m. Had a fire. It was awesome. Everything about it. It was just incredible.
Hell yeah. You'll love to hear it. You'll love to hear it. Well, we appreciate y'all making it to the end of this podcast. Everybody's favorite Texan, everybody's favorite closet Alabama fan, and of course our special guest Stephen Paul, soon to be the new Tim McGraw. Just wait for it. He's on his way.
Wait for the song to come out, and you really will think that.
He'll be there. Absolutely. But anyway, thanks for coming in, Stephen. We'll probably have to have you on closer to the championship weekend to get your full-on season review as your first-time NASCAR fan. We're definitely excited to see what you have to say next Sunday. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. Excited to hear to see the big race this weekend. So
damn straight. Where are we even going? I lost count. Oh,
Talladega, baby.
Man, your first Talladega experience. You ready to watch Ryan Blaney win? Because by God, I'm here for it.
quick question before we end this thing. What should I expect this weekend? What style of racing is going to be this weekend?
Atlanta, but a whole mile longer.
Daytona.
Atlanta, a whole mile longer, just like Atlanta and Daytona. And it's just redneck paradise. This is where rednecks go to find out where they're going after they die, because it's probably the last place they're ever going to see. It almost collected me and Dawson a few years back.
It is that's what I was saying. Caleb, you were off here, but I was like, your next experience has to be Talladega. Like, it is.
Yeah.
I still have repercussions in my insides from a Talladega accident that I had. And
turn 3 at the dirt track will not be forgotten.
So same thing like you experienced at Texas. There's a dirt track at Talladega, right outside the facility. And we can end on this awesome story here. Caleb, me and my dad got there like a day before Caleb, and Caleb's coming in. We're at the dirt track race, and it's pitch black dark. And I'm on the phone with Caleb, and I'm trying to find him. He's trying to find me. And like I said, it's pitch black dark. And next thing I know, just boom, I'm in a hole. And I land all my weight just on this side of my body, and all the air and breath leaves my body, and I just hear just crack. And there's a fellow walking towards me, and he was like, "Dude, are you all right?" And I go, "Yeah, I think I'm good." He's like, "All right, I'm like I didn't see that." And that's still like my favorite thing that has ever been said about it. But I get up, dude, and my ribs were broke, I think. Like, my ribs were broken, and I was just in pain still am. Like, I still have pain, like, all over this area still to this day. And, like, if I take my shirt off, like, if you look down my body, I have, like, an indentation right here. Like, this side's, like, all the way straight down. This side is, like, indented right here. So I think there's, like, still some issues going on there. We after that weekend, I had a family vacation to Panama City, so I literally left Talladega and went to Panama City, which was a hellacious 10-day span there.
Yeah, wild turnaround.
But dude, I couldn't, like, there was days like my mom literally rubbed some cream on my back. I was so in pain. So yeah, my back still hurts from Talladega. That was 2019, by the way.
It leaves its scars. So, in other words, we need to get you down there real soon, Stephen, so that way we can put you through your paces. Maybe October will work out.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, well, go follow Raised Rowdy Racing everywhere. Follow Raised Rowdy Matt Burrell and Raised Rowdy Nikki T. I always get those backwards. I don't know why. But either way, thanks, everybody, for listening. We will catch you later after Talladega.
Deuces.
All right, I hit stop. I got to get this call.
Mine might be recording still.
Hello. Hey, Mark. Sorry,